This is the Witcher podcast on TV Podcast Industries. We're back with season 3 of The Witcher. This time we're covering episode 1, Shaerrawedd, and episode 2, Unbound.
Dear friend, even in your silence, I know you're wondering how Ciri's training is progressing. She has great potential, but little talent. That will change over time. Someday she'll be able to conjure something tastier than the squid you're likely bringing right now. Your friend, Yennefer.
Welcome back, fellow witches. We're back with Geralt and Yen and Ciri in season 3 of The Witcher. This time we're covering the first 2 episodes of volume 1, Shaerrawedd and Unbound. I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
Hello there, fellow witches. I am one of your other witchering hosts, John.
As is traditional for our Witcher coverage, we are releasing our episodes late for The Witcher. Yes. I don't think we've ever hit, I think season 1 we came in late because Chris was a massive fan and wanted us to cover it. Season 2 we came in late because it came out on Christmas Day, so we did it a week afterwards. And I think even the Blood Origin came out during the period between Christmas and New Year's, so we might have been even late with that one. So, but we have covered every episode of The Witcher so far.
Yes, we certainly have. Mm-hmm. And actually, I really like the references, sort of quite small, but to Witcher Blood Origins as well.
Yeah, there were some interesting ones in the first episode.
Just a few little snippets. Yeah. Whether it needed Blood Origins to sort of for that, but it just suddenly immediately transported me back to that really nice little mini-series and offshoot of The Witcher.
It was. It got absolutely destroyed in reviews, though, John.
I know.
We did record it around the time of Christmas where everybody was quite joyous about it, but since then, there's been a lot of people that didn't like it, and they've kind of moved on from connecting it as much as they originally had said they were going to Witcher Season 3.
Well, I guess I'm bucking the trend, because I really enjoyed it. I mean, I don't really know The Witcher at all very well. And
other than the show, obviously.
Other than the show. But I mean, it is one of those things where sort of trying to get back into the names, the places, I always find tough with The Witcher.
Yeah. Well, especially now that we're covering Rings of Power and we're covering Wheel of Time, all fantasy shows, all with their own whole system set up and different characters. It's quite difficult to jump back into something. And this has been 2 years since Witcher Season 2 as well, right?
Yeah, it's been a while, but I guess I've just never had any connection other than with the TV show. So it just takes a little bit of a warm-up. It's like starting a car on a cold day.
Absolutely. That's that recap of season 1 and season 2 that Netflix put out was very important in getting my mind back into all of these characters.
Definitely.
But what is untraditional about our coverage of The Witcher is, unfortunately, Chris won't be joining us for this season of The Witcher. New baby has arrived for Chris and his wife. So
new challenges, new pressures on his time.
Exactly. So he is available for our coverage that we're doing on Marvel's Secret Invasion, but he's only able to do one podcast a week. So myself and John will be taking The Witcher Season 3. But that's okay. We can still cover it pretty well, right?
I think so.
I hope so. This is volume 1 of season 3, which was all the first 5 episodes released in one day. The second volume will be released on July 27th, the final 3 episodes of the season. An interesting move here from Netflix, something that they're doing with all of their big shows where they're spreading them out, not doing them weekly, but doing them kind of in their binge model, but in 2 different splits, effectively. But if you look at the actual dates, it's about 5 weeks apart from when they released the first 5 episodes of volume 1, so they probably could have done it weekly.
Yeah. Definitely.
But they're trying to stick to that model of binging, right?
I think so. I think so, yeah. They must cling on to it, I guess. Yeah. But, yeah. But anyway, I'm looking forward to this show. Remember, fellow existing witchers or fellow new witchers who are just joining us, please pop on over to our website at tvpodcastindustries.com, where you can subscribe to any good or evil podcast catcher of your choice. You can also leave voicemails there for feedback, as well as using our email, feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com, where you can send in your thoughts, comments, theories on anything to do with The Witcher Season 3.
Absolutely. So this time we will be covering the first 2 episodes. We'll cover them separately, cover episode 1 first and then go into episode 2. We haven't watched ahead. We haven't watched the other 3 episodes of the show yet. So we won't be spoiling anything onwards after episode 2. So you'd be pretty okay if you watch those 2 episodes. And then join us for this podcast.
Definitely. Let us get into our spoiler-filled discussion of episode 1, Shaerrawedd. Derek, what are some of the episode details here?
Well, the show is based on the book series by Andrzej Sapkowski and the game series from CD Projekt Red. The showrunner for the show, once again, Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich, who did season 1 and season 2, and we also covered her work on Daredevil, The Defenders, and of course Umbrella Academy as well. So Lauren has featured quite heavily on our coverage on TV podcast industries. This episode was directed by Stephen Surjik, who we've covered many, many times. He's directed episodes of the Umbrella Academy season 1 and 2, and episodes of every single Marvel Defenders show that was on Netflix and now, of course, on Disney Plus. And he's also directed episodes throughout season 1 and 2 of The Witcher.
Yes, good stuff. Yeah. A lot of Marvel Defenders pedigree here.
Absolutely. And Stephen Surjik, interestingly, did send me a happy birthday message once, which I thought was quite nice.
That was very nice.
It was. This episode was written by Mike Ostrowski. This is his 3rd episode of The Witcher, as he wrote season 1, episode 7, and season 2, episode 7. But this time, his first premiere episode for season 3.
Very good, very good.
So, John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for The Witcher season 1, episode 1, Shaerrawedd?
Sure. Having left Kaer Morhen, Geralt, Yennefer and Ciri are on the run from the fire mage Rience while continuing Ciri's training as a witcher and a mage. Elsewhere on the continent, other groups have designs on Ciri. The Elven Queen Francesca Findabair seeks Ciri, whom they see as the destined saviour of the elves, but her obsession increasingly puts her at odds with the elven troops known as the Squirrels. While in Redania, King Vizimir is disillusioned with his spymaster Sigismund Jeska and sorceress Philippa Earhart's failure to capture Ciri, whom he intended to marry, so he entrusts the task to his brother Prince Radovid. After 6 months running from village to town to hamlet, they finally settle down in a home provided by Yarpin Zigrin. After months of hiding and training, Ciri, Geralt and Yennefer go to the local village for the Beltane festival to escape the confinements of training, but are attacked by a Jackapace monster orchestrated by Rience. The group take down the Jackapace and realise that they must once again move on, but tired of running, the 3 decide to lure Rience into a trap. They need a trusted friend, Jaskier, to be the bait after rumours are spread by Yarpin of Ciri's departure. They track down Jaskier, asking him to help Geralt, Yennefer and Ciri with their plan, but they are unaware that Jaskier has been in secret contact with Philippa and Prince Radovid about persuading Ciri to go to Redania. The elven ruins of Shaerrawedd, they are confronted by Rience and the elven squirrels, and a battle ensues. Rience's and the elven forces are held off, with Francesca's brother killed in the encounter. As Rience escapes his defeat via a dark portal, Yennefer feels the presence of dark magic and believes that a powerful dark mage is the mastermind behind Rience. With no other options, she suggests the last place they should seek help, Artusa.
Ooh, return to Artusa.
Yes, certainly after she freed Cahir previously. So yes, things aren't going that well for the mages here either.
Yeah.
They seem to be losing the respect and of the different kingdoms.
Yeah. All the kingdoms at war here as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nilfgaard, the north. Yes, a lot of battles happening around the continent.
Absolutely, yeah. But the majority of this episode really is getting us back with Yen and Geralt and Ciri on their travels and on their running away, I suppose, or hiding across the continent. So a big kind of travelogue of an episode.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and what we normally do with our Witcher coverage is that we talk about our big moment, the big thing that stood out to us from the first episode of the show. As these are all released on the same day, most of our wonderful fellow Witchers have watched probably all 5 episodes at this stage. So we just call out the big things from the episode that stood out to us, that we really enjoyed.
So then, Derek, do you want to kick us off with the big moment from episode 1 for you?
It's just a lovely touch that I thought worked really well in this episode. We finished season 2 with Yen and Geralt being kind of at odds with each other because of her decision to almost trade in Ciri for more power. So we have Geralt distrustful of Yen, but knows that he needs her to help train Ciri, and Ciri is his ward. That's his charge and the person he cares for most. So they just have this lovely line throughout the opening, or the first half of the episode almost, with the letters from Yen. These moments where she's calling out that or signing it as your dear friend, Yennefer, and you can tell there's a separation between the two, but I love how it builds throughout the episode. I love that you get the closeness starting to return between the two of them. I love that she's writing these letters and nailing them to his door so he gets them the first thing that he wakes up in the morning with the updates of Ciri's training, which isn't going very well. I like the line from Yen going, there's a lot of promise there, but not very much talent, which seems like a big criticism of Ciri. But it's difficult, I'd say, to pick up any type of magic, right? So especially if you're trying it for the first time, and Yen's not really a teacher. She's very knowledgeable and very powerful herself, but she's not the person that's best experienced to train Ciri. But finding it very difficult. She tries with each type of magic, which I like. She tries with water magic and earth magic, and she doesn't try fire magic. Sorry, that's the one that she doesn't try because she knows that leads to difficulties for everybody.
Yeah, that's it. And the other one being air magic that she uses. Yes. And I liked how Yennefer describes the fire magic to Ciri as well. You know, it is the source of that is you, and it takes something from you that you never get back, as she will certainly remember from the end of season 1. So I liked all this, and I loved the whole dear friend letters going on at the start as they're going from different houses and villages and so on to escape all the people pursuing Ciri. Some great initials kind of starts there of, it's fourth house in as many months, effectively. What's happening here, Geralt? Are you, because he keeps, giving a purse of money to someone saying for your discretion. Yes. And then the next thing, the rumor has spread. So all this money being paid out by Geralt.
Yeah. I like the idea. Working. It's, I don't know whether they're indicating that the money that he's paying for the discretion is not actually keeping them discreet.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they do seem to have a lot of people following them. Yeah,
definitely. And I like the fact that with, the relationship between her and Geralt, the I guess just the trial of having to train Ciri and it not going that well. She's like, more wine, less, dear friend, more wine, less meat.
Yes.
Maybe it's an excuse just so that she can speak to him, knock at the door as well. And, but I just thought it was just really this dear friend letter motif through the episode. I thought it was just really cute. And I like at the end how you get a dear friend letter as effectively they're having to split up with Yennefer taking Ciri to Artuso whilst Geralt must go off to find Rience, certainly given what Yennefer believes about the magic being used.
But, and Geralt sends her dear friend letter back as well, so just to make it a little even more cute. But even that moment when they arrive at Yarpen's and they're staying there, and they kind of slow down in the training a bit because it's going through the winter period, but Yennefer kind of says maybe we need to have a little bit of a break from training, and maybe we have to have a little bit of a break from the antagonism that we have between the two of us.
Yeah, and that's kind of manifests itself with them sharing meals and all that, which was really nice. But I like at the end where Geralt does promise to think of Yennefer as they're separated, and but he does keep that kiss hanging though.
Absolutely.
Rather than a kiss, it's just like a little grunt.
Yeah, I love, actually, that's a great moment at the opening of the episode where we have the little battle between the people that are searching for Ciri. And I think throughout that, the first, I guess, word you get from Geralt is his standard Witcher grunt. We get one of the bits of this that I probably will bring in is just is Yarpen. Yarpen we've seen in each of the seasons so far, usually working with Geralt. This time he gives them a place to stay in the farthest reaches of the continent throughout the winter, so somewhere that they definitely can't be found. A couple of things I really liked about this. I love that as Yarpen walks away, he says the phrase, "I want to be paid for my discretion," because it may have gotten around that everybody else gets paid, so why can't Yarpen Yarpen. I also love that Yarpen instantly picks up that their relationship has developed again with Geralt and Yennefer being close again. Says it in a way that, of course, we can't say on TV podcast industries, as we are a PG podcast, but I do like Yarpen's directness to Geralt. And then finally, I thought this was a bit unfair of Ciri, actually, because she's the one that says it to him. When they get tracked, and they get tracked by her blood, she blames it on Yarpen. She goes, because this wasn't a safe place, we want you to help us in our next plan. It's not Yarpen's fault that this place wasn't safe. It's her blood that's been sniffed out. So I thought that was a little unfair on poor Yarpen, because he says, if I'd known this place wasn't safe, I wouldn't have allowed you to stay here. Like, they got 6 months of safety out of the place, right?
Yes.
Yeah, all the way up to the Valentine Festival. So throughout winter up to Valentine. So I thought that was a little unfair of them. But hey, Yarpen at least in for the next plan.
Yeah.
But that was my major point. That was my major moment from the episode. The thing I loved about it was these travels across the continent from Yen, Geralt, and Ciri, and how much their closeness and their close bond gets together throughout that trip. How about yourself, John? What was your big moment from episode 1?
I just like the kind of the hunt, really, that Ciri is a very popular girl on the continent, and everyone is after her. Mm-hmm. I mean, at face value and sort of the main part of this episode, it is Master Rience, the guy with the burnt face that had it burnt there in season 2, chasing after Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri. Mm-hmm. New places, new hunters, and they move on. They're totally on the run here, but he is a user of fire magic, and certainly to Yennefer's point that it takes something from you, but it all coalesces around Shaerrawedd with the people that are chasing after her, including Queen Francesca, the Elven Queen. We remember her. She lost her baby in Nilfgaard in the last season. They are now in camps. They're doing pitched battles, but for her, Ciri or Cirilla, they are looking for Dol Baldorthoma, I think, and they are trying this myth that the person who will save the elven race. Mm-hmm. And so for Queen Francesca, that is of utmost importance. Now, it puts a bit at odds with some of the other captains here of the squirrels. In particular, we get introduced to Gallatin, the kind of leader of the squirrels, where he is doing the raids, looking for food, and getting supplies. Yeah. But he believes that she is now obsessed with this and should be focusing on trying to keep the survival of the elves.
Yes, Gallatin, played by Robbie Amell here.
Yes, I know.
Coming into The Witcher. We know Robbie from a couple of shows that we've watched. He was on Upload over on Prime Video. Really good over there. So really enjoy him in that. And I think cousin of Stephen Amell, who played Arrow. I think he's cousin. But great to see him in here. It's a nice strong presence on the other side of this elven group. You have the really stoic kind of leaders of the group with Francesca and the leaders around her, and then you have the men of action, all led by Gallatin here. So kind of cool presence to have in the show.
Yeah, definitely. Really enjoyed this bit of tension in the elven camp, which seemingly is kind of diffused by Francesca, saying, we'll go out to attack for supplies and so on, but actually heads to Shaerrawedd as well, because with the whole attack by Rience with the Jackapace at the Beltane Festival, as they're staying with Yarpen, they put out rumors and a plan then to say that she is traveling alone. She's been separated. And so these two groups, Rience's forces as well as the Elven forces, sort of come to Shaerrawedd in order to claim their prize.
Absolutely.
So I really like that. I think we also have to note that in Redania, that King Vizimir also has designs on Ciri. He wants to marry her, and he's a little bit upset with his spy masters, Distra and Philippa. Philippa is the one who turns into the owl. But I love the fact that this whole, this links in with Jaskier, who is also brought on by Geralt, to be the bait effectively,
yes.
The trusted person who is transporting Ciri, without Yennefer and Geralt.
Yeah.
And
Jaskier has a great introduction in
this
episode. Once again, they always do give Jaskier a great moment, but I love that we see him here with. It's not even a girlfriend. It's the person that he's been spending a lot of time with. At least from his perspective, he's an artist. He gets to sleep with whoever he wants to. And we see him being thrown out of their place together at the start. I thought that was great fun, a great moment from Jaskier. I also love that she calls out, "What did you think? You were the only person having stuff going on outside?" And he's like, "Well, yes, I did actually. I thought that was my purview since I'm an artist."
Yeah,
very, very, very good.
I think the interesting thing though here that with Redania is that with the two spy masters, it's linking into Jaskier because they're wanting him with his connections to Geralt and Ciri to deliver her. And it's interesting the threat that Philippa makes to him, or will undo all your good deeds, which is effectively saving elves from being arrested, tortured, hung, killed, and so on. So
he's a bit of a hero of the elves.
He is. So he's caught a little bit between a rock and a hard place here in terms of the allegiances with Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri, but also this threat and effectively blackmail, really, by Philippa and Dijkstra. So it adds a nice little bit of spice to what may happen here, as well
Prince
as
Radovid on for the ride.
Yes, as well as being introduced to Prince Radovid as well, who King Vizimir is entrusting this task of bringing Ciri to him and working with Dijkstra and Philippa.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm still unsure about what's going on with the king, with Vizimir. I thought it was quite a funny moment when he's sitting there going, Dijkstra, I can't believe you didn't get Ciri for me. She was supposed to be my intended, my beloved, my queen. And Dijkstra says, you might want to keep your voice down. Your betrothed is just over there. So he is getting married to somebody else, effectively. But he still wants Ciri back. It's almost like that was the plan and the plan failed and my plans cannot fail. It's kind of the way it looks from Vizimir. So overall, we have effectively got Nilfgaard after Ciri, we've got the elves after Ciri, and we've also got the Redanian intelligence, or Redania, after Ciri, all following up, all trying to find her. And of course, as you mentioned, we've got Rience himself going after her as this powerful fire maid.
Well, the Elvens are kind of linked and allied with Nilfgaard.
With Nilfgaard, yes.
But Queen Francesca is looking at it purely from the survival of the elven race, whereas we do see Ciri's dad, right at the end, the emperor who's titled himself the emperor of the continent. He is also looking for Ciri as well.
Yes.
So, there's these four elements here, all searching for Ciri. And at Shaerrawedd, we get that pitched battle between the different forces. I do really like the exposition around Shaerrawedd, as to the history of it, where Geralt says Elrien was a warrior elf, and she thought she could defeat the humans, and Geralt just says she was wrong. To which Yennefer says, well, Geralt's abridged version, it's that she went through the same thing, added more sort of flourishes to this story. And in the end, Geralt says, yes, she rallied the elves at Shaerrawedd, fought and died for her, and in doing so condemned her species to annihilation. So the same outcome from Geralt's abridged version. Yeah. So I kind of really thought that was kind of a nice way of a potted history. Just with Geralt's, ye of few words, really.
Exactly.
I thought that was nice.
Absolutely. And that's some of the story that we saw in Blood Origins, wasn't it? We saw the kind of kick off of that war between the elves themselves before the humans arrived, and then the show finished with humans arriving at the continent.
Definitely.
So this is kind of the follow-up to that story. That we kind of knew that from the first 2 seasons of The Witcher, that the elves wouldn't be able to eradicate humans from the continent because they're all still there, right? But where we're seeing the elves now is that they're very diminished. They're now being attacked in the streets. They're now being arrested. We see just little touches in here. The Beastmaster, who has the Jackapace, he has an elf at his side who he's calling a hybrid elf. Effectively, he's treating him really badly. He's making him feed the Jackapace, who are smelling his blood and attacking through the doors at the elf. So there are lots of elves who are being treated really badly on the continent. So this callback at Shaerrawedd to the fact they were the ruling class, the ruling species, many centuries ago.
Until
really
the convergence and the arrival of humans. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I also like that element that Ciri brings into it. When she hears the whole story of what's going on, she thinks about it. They stay there overnight, and she comes back to that place in Shaerrawedd, and she makes her decision about what kind of leader she would be if she is destined to be a leader. If all of the prophecies are true, if the reason why all these people are trying to find her is because she will become a leader, her choice would be to bring humans and elves together and live in peace on the continent together, rather than taking a side with the elves and eradicating humans, or taking a side with the humans to eradicate elves.
Well, that's it. It's like, I think that is one of the important things coming out of the Shaerrawedd is, Ciri's sense of justice and her conscience around it. She goes, I am both. I understand both elven and human. I can offer more to people. I can break that cycle of hate. And I like the fact, again, Geralt in a few words says, I don't doubt your intentions and your will here, but he just doubts the world that it will be able to follow in that vision. Really good. And then the other side that comes from this is with the defeat of Rience's forces, he escapes through a portal, and he is followed by Geralt, who's trying to kill him. In the end, he needs to get back to the battle because the elves have arrived. Yennefer is keeping the portal open, so he breaks the wrists and hands of Rience. But in trying to keep that portal open to allow Geralt to come back through, she senses that Rience's magic has an insanity surrounding it, she says, and that this portal, the magic being used, she could sense that there was a dark, powerful mage behind it that is potentially the master of Rience. He or she is puppeting Rience in their particular designs on Ciri. So I kind of like this new higher level threat being introduced, because Rience is a really good character anyway. I like his threat, but now there's this other level that actually there is a mage here behind the scenes, and certainly given that by the end Ciri and Yennefer are taking the choice to go to Aretuza, that is unlikely to welcome both of them anytime soon.
Yeah. And we also see the lead mage at the end for a very brief moment.
Just his hands.
Unhooded, of course.
Yes.
Looking a little bit like he's coming out of the Traitors TV show. But he mends the hands of Rience.
Yes.
And I love just the touch. Of course, the first thing that Rience would do was click his fingers to make sure he has the firepower still available to him.
Yeah. And I think the other thing here is, Jaskier does accept Philippa's offer here, with that threat, that it's almost like a devotion to Ciri, her, what's best for Ciri. It will land her somewhere safe in Redania. But it is with the condition that they must get rid of Rience, so that they will also gain his, but also Geralt's and Ciri's trust around this deal. So, that's an interesting little deal that's going on, but unknown to Geralt and Yennefer as well.
Yes, it is. And it's an interesting deal because Jaskier seems to have believed what Prince Radovid said to him as well. And Radovid wasn't massively convincing to me anyway. He was saying, my brother's not that bad. given that he's the king.
Yes.
It was almost like he is really bad, but it'll be okay. We'll keep her safe. Like, I don't know. I'm not too sure whether Jaskier does have... Well, no, I think Jaskier does believe he has the best intentions of Ciri at heart, but only because if she's in one place, then she can be alive. But I don't think he realizes that he's putting her in danger, bringing her to Redania.
Well, I think the interesting thing with the Redania aspect is what is the bigger game here? Because as Pip or Philippa says to Redovid, you're good at this game.
Yes.
She wants to bring him in to work with her and Dijkstra.
Yeah, she's using the stick and he's using the carrot, I think is the old phrase for that. Good stuff. Anything else about that point, John, or anything else about the episode you want to talk about?
No, that's it for me for my big moment. I guess it's several big moments, but it's just the notion that there is 4 different groups on the hunt for Ciri.
Absolutely.
So she is in danger and has threats from all sides here. Just the only note I have is Galatan just says at the end, after they've lost the battle, again, the tension and arguments have spilled out with Francesca, that he's had enough of all the men that he's lost in this pursuit, this seemingly obsessive pursuit by Francesca.
Yeah.
And she's also mourning the death of her brother, but he's like, I've lost enough men and I've mourned them, and is off to get help from an old friend, he says. So it'll be interesting to see who that is.
Absolutely. And we also saw Dara in with his group. Dara, who is the elf who'd worked with Ciri to get to on her escape originally in the first season. So, and Dara was also being used to find Ciri throughout season 2. But now here he is with Galatan as one of his men. Ciri's realization that he's there as well, making sure that he isn't killed while in the battle. So she does have some connection with Dara as well. But good to see him back there.
Yeah. Although Dara just says all she brings is death.
Yes, exactly.
So,
he hasn't had the greatest of experiences since they first met either.
He does get shot with an arrow here as well. So.
He does. But so does Jaskier, or at least his loot does.
Yes.
Yeah. I just have one other note about the episode. I suppose actually two big things to mention. We didn't mention it up front, but we probably should mention this is the last season that Henry Cavill will be playing Geralt. He is in there. I don't know whether you saw after the episodes came out, Netflix were putting banners up everywhere going, yes, he is in this season of Witcher, because it was announced over a year ago that Henry Cavill was leaving. The question from everybody is, was last season his last season, or is it this season, or is it next season, or what? So they're pushing heavily that the Henry Cavill is going to be in all of this season, of course. But also, interestingly, they're saying that the replacement that's coming in for next season will be like a Doctor Who type replacement. There will be a reason why his face will have changed, which I think is quite interesting.
Yeah, excellent.
Got to watch out for that. And my other note is the character of Rience, who we mentioned many times here, there is a new actor playing him this season. Sam Wolf has been cast as the replacement for Chris Fulton, who played the character for the first 2 seasons. Chris Fulton is a very heavy working actor on Netflix. He has 3 other shows going on. He's working on this, obviously, in Witcher season 1 and 2. He also worked on Bridgerton and The Lazarus Project. So Bridgerton being another massive show on Netflix. It seems like just a conflict of availability. So they've recast Rience, but I'm liking Sam Wolf. I think he fits in really well in this role of the clicking fire master.
Yes, definitely.
It's quite cool. Quite cool. That's it, probably, for our first episode of The Witcher. What do you think overall, the first episode, John?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. That really brought you back into the world of The Witcher. I'd give this 4 purses of monies for your discretion.
Excellent.
Out of 5. Yeah, I just thought it was really good. I think it just kind of took up and was full of good action, good moments between Geralt and Yennefer and Ciri. It effectively brought all the people on the board, possibly with the exception of Artusa, although we did get a little snippet of new mages being trained and Vildefort kind of looking on a little creepily. Again, whether that is to suggest he is the dark mage behind Rience or whatever that may be, I think there's a lot of thunder and lightning happening whilst that scene played out. But I just thought it was a really good introduction. And so, yeah, I'd give it 4 purses of monies for your discretion out of 5.
Excellent, excellent. We do have some feedback in from some of our wonderful fellow wishers. Remember, you can email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com with your thoughts, or pop on over to our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/tvpodcastindustries. I've already put up a spoiler post for each of the 5 episodes in Volume 1 of The Witcher Season 3. So pop in there and leave your thoughts on each of the episodes. But first up, we have an email from Coffee and Vodka who says, "Greetings, fellow Post-it Notes defenders. I really hope Henry Cavill decided to quit over source material issues rather than his unexpectedly rejected return to the now defunct DC Extended Universe. Can't imagine he'll be out of work, but still would hate to think he'd jump the gun." As in James Good. Nice one, Coffee Vodka.
Good. I like it.
It seems strange to think of anyone else filling the role of Geralt, but so long as they have writers able to churn out lines like, "What do you want from me? I have ears and good taste, so nothing. I think I'll stick around." A great moment there from Yarpen.
Yes.
Yeah, really good. Coffee Vodka continues, "The series picked up naturally with our heroes being actively chased by most everyone else in the world, and Geralt and Yennefer with fences to mend. We got our monster of the week, battles, dry humour, and the world's worst bard. It's nice to see Ciri become more one of the team, rather than just a MacGuffin maiden needing protection. The letters between Yennefer and Geralt are a great touch, threading the episode nicely."
Absolutely, yeah.
And Yarpen made it extra entertaining. He's just awesome. Finally, I can't wait for Rience to get his comeuppance. A good start to what looks like might shape up to be the best season thus far. 4.5 twisted hand candles, Ciri smelling maze monsters, and sharp Yarpen barbs out of 5. Peace and take care, Coffee and Vodka.
Great stuff. Thanks, Coffee and Vodka. Yarpen is really great. He's great in this episode. Very entertaining. I think we would all like to see Rience get his comeuppance. I mean, I must say, it is the thing, the dry humour, of the show I find really, really good. I love, Henry Cavill's just few words. It is really good. It just really nails the character.
Without a doubt. Yeah, great to have them all back, and a great start to this third season of the show. I think it set it up really well.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much, Coffee and Vodka. We also got a Facebook message from Dr. Bob Phillips, who says, "We got grunts, hunts, and fire mage stunts, along with the splintering of the terrific trio we took a season to bring together. The Jackapace really needed to have Proud Mary playing as its entrance music, and I did regret the portrait burning not having the brazier to the left, so he could swipe those images into the flames. I was more concerned on the brazier, the fact it was indoors. I mean, I could just imagine that the whole royal room would be filling with smoke.
Absolutely.
Yes, obviously, it doesn't bode well in Emperor dressed in black burning art.
yeah, that's not a good sign. Not a good sign. And yes, big wheel keep on turning, Jackapace keep on burning. That would be kind of cool.
And that was a good little battle in the maze as well at the Beltane Festival.
It was. The only thing that was in my head when that came up, I was like, yeah, okay, experience the Valentine Festival, enjoy it. I think it's both Ciri and Yennefer's birthday, isn't it? That's what we learn here. Yes. They're both born on Valentine, which I thought was interesting. But go and enjoy it. Go spend some time, dance with the group of villagers. Don't go into the maze and get lost on your own and try and get the two people trying to protect you for the last, 4 or 5 months unable to find you in the maze. That was not a good plan, Ciri.
No. Although Yennefer was immediately looking for the ale tent.
Of course she was.
As well. And I like the whole Beltane aspect, that May festival from... I guess from Gaelic, and,
Celtic culture, yeah.
Celtic culture.
Yeah. Valentine Festival. I think it's, Mean and Beltana is May in Ireland. We added on about 25 extra letters to, the 3-letter, month of May. So, that's quite cool.
And also it features right at the opening of Wheel of Time as well. The village there, is also, deep in the middle of a Beltane festival.
Beltane festival, yes. And interestingly, the main feature of it seems to be everybody has to jump over the fire in the middle of in the middle of the celebration. That's what everybody has to try and do, is jump over the fire. Don't try and jump over a fire at home, especially not the tale that's told about the knight who tried to jump over it in a full suit of armor. Those things are heavy.
Yes.
Don't do that. Good stuff. I think that's it for that first episode of The Witcher Season 3. We're going to take a break and we'll be back with our discussion about Episode 2, Unbound.
Geralt, my friend, a time of contempt is approaching. Deep and utter contempt. My proposition is a simple solution. Someone has to die, so someone else can live.
I will not pay for what I love by having contempt for myself.
Welcome back, fellow Witchers, after a little short break there. We're back with episode 2 of The Witcher Season 3, Unbound.
Yes, welcome back, fellow Witchers. Good to have you on board.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for staying with us. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, looking forward to getting into episode 2. Mm-hmm. So, shall we get straight into our spoiler-filled discussion? Derek, what are some of the episode details for episode 2, Unbound?
Well, of course, based on the book series by Andrzej Sapkowski and the game series from CD Projekt Red, with showrunner Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich, and of course, this episode directed again by Steven Surjik. But this episode was written by Tanya Losha, first episode of the main Witcher series, but she wrote episode 3 of The Witcher Blood Origins.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's quite cool. John, do you want to give us the synopsis for The Witcher Season 3, Episode 2, Unbound?
Sure. With Geralt separated from Ciri and Yennefer in search of Rience and his master, he, along with Jaskier, head to Coringer and Fen, a law firm and detective agency, for help in his quest. They give him the location Vulpan, a castle where he might discover vital details about the sorcerer in charge of Rience, and they also hint at the involvement of the mage Istrid, who is also looking for Ciri. Jaskier continues to gather information about Rience. In his desire to help Ciri, he shares Geralt's encounters with the wrong people, Dijkstra and Philippa, who in turn are trying to persuade Jaskier to hand over Ciri to them. Their plan involves Prince Radovid, Vizimir's charming brother. To win Geralt's confidence, Jaskier asks Prince Radovid to pay Coringer and Fen in exchange for details regarding Rience. However, his interaction with Prince Radovid seems to have left Prince Radovid smitten with the dandelion. Meanwhile, Yennefer and Ciri make their way to Aretuza, but along the way, Ciri's increasingly unsettling visions and her efforts to change the course of events cause problems between her and Yennefer. To maintain a low profile, Yen makes the decision to purchase an immediate portal towards Aretuza from Kira, her old friend. But they have no choice but to flee and travel the long way to Aretuza after a vision causes Ciri to release a dwarf held captive because of a bleak future she foresaw. On the road to Aretuza, Yen and Ciri continue to argue, and Yen opts for a diversion to teach Ciri important lessons about the possible repercussions of interfering with fate. Geralt arrives in Vulpan to find a creepy den with a horrifying scene of 3 heads extending from fleshy stalks in the walls. In a cocoon of webbing, a distraught girl rants about a nocturnal visitor. He releases the girl, and no sooner a hideous thing-like creature made up of bodies of its victims attacks him. Geralt battles the monster, killing it and saving the young, blonde-haired, green-eyed lady. He takes her away from the dungeon, and Geralt makes an effort to talk to her, only she already knows his name, and explains she knew he'd come to save her, as she is Ciri.
Ooh, doppelganger.
Yes, big time. Like, it's a big ending, actually. It's a good cliffhanger. Huh. You know, who is this blonde-haired, green-eyed girl?
Yeah.
Like, immediately I was thinking, well, it must be this sort of unknown master mage that's helping Rience. Maybe he's transformed and was able to in order to sort of, I guess, to put a stick in the wheel of everything that is assumed and believed within this group, but just don't know.
Because it is interesting, when he's speaking to Codringer and Fen, they say to him that he should get someone that looks like Ciri, effectively, because someone has to die, in this time of great contempt, I think is the words that they use. So they suggest that he gets someone like Ciri, effectively. So, interesting that he finds someone just like Ciri pretty soon after that.
Yeah, and it was good actually being back with Codringer and Fen. I mean, they were a little reticent, they weren't really going to tell Geralt too much, because, unless he had a lot of money, but I guess he's out of money because of all the payments for discretion. But, I kind of liked how they almost tantalized him with information without giving him too much, like the Istrid, sort of bit of information that they gave him.
I had completely forgotten Istrid's name, so when the name is just dropped there, I had to Google it and find out who Istrid was, because it's been a while since we've seen Istrid.
Yes.
Back to season 2. Yeah.
And in terms of talking about Rience and his possible master, they talk about how they may be a rejected sorcerer as well, or a mage from possibly Aretuza, I guess. As I say, Vildefort is, if that is the case, feels like a possible option there.
He does. Kind of liked Codringer and Fen in here as well. They felt a little bit like Hagrid from Harry Potter, where they release a bit of information and then go, "Ooh, shouldn't have said that."
Yeah, exactly.
But it's tantalizing enough that he might pay a bit more money as well, which is where they are. But good to see the two of them back for a short time in this episode. What we do, as we mentioned on the last episode, what we do is pick out our 2 big moments from the episode. I'll say up front here, this second episode was all over the continent. I felt the first episode was reintroducing us to the continent, the characters, and our main 3 characters. Now we have those 3 characters split and doing different missions with the Asker on board again. And also introducing and spending time across the continent with various people. I found this very difficult to focus on and to pick up one big moment. There's so much going on.
It really did feel like a bitty episode because of this constant moving around. I mean, it's the notion of, it felt like writer's tennis. You were just sort of battered around the continent for very short moments. I mean, I just wish they had kind of brought a few of them together into longer stints with the characters.
Exactly.
Because it felt a little... It couldn't really get into the swing of what was happening. It just, you needed the full entirety of the episode. And I wish they had sort of brought pieces together, a bit more here, for me. But, again, it was quite a lot of information, new things being brought in. And as you say, that's going to be the case when your main group are suddenly split.
Exactly.
And it's not only that, but you have all these other, when you've got 4 groupings after Ciri, that's a lot of things to keep up in the air.
Certainly is.
But I just thought they could have made this a little bit more...
Just tighter.
And brought together some of these different scenes into longer sort of sections.
Yeah, just like, I know obviously there's 3 more episodes in this volume of the series, but I wonder if a couple of these moments could be just pushed into a later episode and a couple of other ones pulled together a bit, so you'd have a tighter episode where you didn't have to drop in for 2 minutes here in one place. It does make it feel like a massive world, though.
It does.
I remember some of the episodes of a show like Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon where you're moving to massively different locations minute by minute by minute.
It did feel a bit like that.
It did. So I can see that kind of comparison this time on the continent. It's not just like Jaskier is meeting somebody or Geralt is meeting somebody or Yenne's meeting somebody in your through line. We're dropping in with different groups who all have their own pieces, including Redanian intelligence with their, I guess it's bondage psychology, I guess, where they're working through Dijkstra's problems so he can work out what's going on in his past.
It's that, but it's also the fact that, the storylines of Fringilla and Cahir, both separate, were also brought back in this. And so, as well as spending more time in Aretuza and some of the, I guess, politics going on in Aretuza. So there was a lot here.
There was.
And it just felt quite sort of, it's almost interrupted. Like you were just getting into a particular point or aspect, and then it shifted to another part of the content. It felt like it didn't ruin the episode, but it didn't make the episode flow.
Yeah, exactly. So what did you choose as your big moment from this episode, John?
I went with Jaskier here. Freedom fighter, spy, bard, and scintillating tease, really. I really like that at Coringer and Fen, you do have Jaskier here, and he is then Geralt and Jaskier become separated as Jaskier goes on to, try and gather further information for Geralt around Rience, and his first port of call is the spy masters and Redovid from Redania. So I kind of really enjoyed this because, again, it's where we see this rock and a hard place that Jaskier is in with Dijkstra and Philippa, but also then, I guess, increasingly with Redovid, because he's looking for Redovid to pay money to Coringer and Fen in order to get more information around Rience and his location. But in return, Redovid wants for Jaskier the dandelion to be a part of his court.
Yeah.
And in the end, he does relent and plays his lute and songs, and it seems as though that bewitches Redovid here.
It seems like Redovid moves from wanting to be part of his court to courting him.
Yes, definitely.
There you go.
And I think the other side of it here is that, we heard in the last episode that Philippa thinks that Redovid is actually really good at this game, and we see him at a banquet where Vizimir is telling tales, that he's also telling porkies to Dijkstra as well, because he has met with Nilfgaard at a secret meeting the previous night, which Redovid tells Dijkstra here. Again, throwing in a bit of uncertainty for Dijkstra, as him and Philippa are trying to, sort of improve Vizimir's standing by getting Ciri. Ultimately, this is a political power play for this kingdom. And so Jaskier is all caught up in this, still with, the threat of his, Elven Railroad effectively being exposed and dismantled if he doesn't help them. So I kind of liked just seeing a bit more of Jaskier here. Again, I think for Jaskier, his motivations are, his loyalty to Geralt, his friendship with him, but also, with Ciri, just trying to protect her. And he sees that absorbing her into a kingdom as powerful as Redania is one of those ways. Yeah. Given how many people are coming for her.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like these moments where Jaskier, and again, it's almost like he has his own superpower. We have mages in this world, we have witchers in this world, but he has the power of bewitching a room with his songs here, I feel like that's a really interesting way of using Jaskier here. He sings whatever popular songs they want him to play, and then he sings this beautiful ballad, which seems to really bare his heart in front of the audience and makes the prince fall in love with him, it seems. So, yes. So that's quite cool that they have Jaskier having his own moments here. He does have his motivation of keeping himself alive, of course, and he has got a lot of pressures in dealing with everybody around him. But I like that he's using his special abilities, for want of a better word, to navigate all the paths around him and get Radovid on his side.
Yeah, he can effectively, he's a charmer. He can talk himself out of a box,
yes, he can.
Effectively.
Yes. And has done many times.
Exactly. That is his superpower.
Exactly. Anything else on that, John?
No, that's all. I just really like the time with Jaskier here.
Me too.
Always do. I thought it built on, what we kind of were starting to learn at the, in the last episode, and it just, delved that little bit deeper and also provided for a bit of possible romance as well.
Exactly.
Derek, what's your major point here?
My big moment that stood out to me from the episode really is Ciri and Yennefer working together here. We see this conversation between the two, that as Ciri has been trained more as being a mage, that she's getting these visions much stronger. She's always had visions in the past, but they're becoming thicker and faster. It's almost like if someone talks to her, she sees someone across a room, she now has a vision that's connected to them. But I like how Yennefer's trying to guide her through this. I think the first vision that she sees is of a kingsman who passes her by, and she sees his death and tries to save him. She wants to go back and save him, and Yennefer's kind of going, but, you never know. If you save that guy, maybe the knock-on effect will be much worse for the continent.
It's a king's rider, or messenger. And interestingly, he pops up in Visimir's court as he's telling the tales. And Ciri's vision is that he gets an arrow in the throat, and he just, with Visimir sort of pontificating around his tales, but he also fires a crossbow in his banquet hall, which just misses the guy, this messenger.
I really like that too. But we also see this gets them into some major trouble later. There's a moment that they're traveling all across the continent, as we said in the first episode. It's probably 6-8 months, maybe a year that they've been traveling across the continent, and Yen makes this massive decision that they're going to go back to Aretuza, the place that she doesn't feel she could be safe, but for the purpose of saving Ciri and getting more guidance they're going to go there. And Yen decides that they're going to use magic to get there. They're going to get a portal from her old friend Kira. They go to Kira's town, all sorted, all ready to go. And then a hunter comes in carrying a chained child, beside him, and Ciri gets a vision that this child is going to be brutalized and is going to be beaten, and frees him, getting Yen and Ciri into more trouble, effectively. So Yen decides to show Ciri the real consequences of what happens when you interfere, not knowing how this will impact the world. I thought this was great. I really did. I love the idea of Yen trusting Ciri with her real past, with her true origin story, effectively, and what that led to, how it led her to get power, how it led her to be hungry for the world, and how it led her to free Kaer, who had been a thorn in their side for so long. And that led to all the kingdoms of the north going up against each other. The fact that there was two people from one kingdom in the north who were hung for going to another kingdom in the north. And Yen's blaming herself for that. She's saying if she hadn't freed Kaer, maybe it would be a much more peaceful continent.
Yeah, well, she says, I set a person free and set the North against the Brotherhood of mages at Aretuza. And we do see, Vildefort and Tissia talking about how, their influence seems to be waning with that, with the fact that one of their own set free Kaer, who is on the side of Nilfgaard and so on. And we see Kaer here.
Yes, we do.
With Gallatin, this is his old friend. But he seemingly has been demoted because he wasn't able to get Ciri to his master, who is the emperor that we are seeing. I think also he is known as the White Flame. So I think the White Flame is him.
Yes.
But I might be wrong, because he's wearing black. Yeah. And so it seems a strange title. Maybe the Dark Flame or something. But anyway, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So there is this, there's this relationship of the Nilfgaards giving refuge to elves in the past, and this is where their alliance is forged. Yeah. They are effectively in opposition and are warring with the North, who are looking to wipe out Elvens.
Yeah, because if they feel if they take over the North with the support of Nilfgaard, then elves can be free.
Yes.
But interestingly, Kaer is making a challenge for leadership of the group of dwarves. He's saying effectively that he's going to take out Francesca and become the leader. Yes. So that's interesting. And of course, Gallatin does have his challenge to Francesca, particularly after as we saw in episode 1, she said she was willing to fight by his side, but actually it was just another way of using them to get Ciri rather than actually fighting by their side. So, no love lost at the moment between Francesca and Gallatin.
No, absolutely. And in terms of when Kaer is saying, about, he lost the girl of Sintra, I wonder if Gallatin sort of that, links to the elven legend of the saviour of the elves, that is Ciri, or is Cirilla. Which she has quite a number of names, of which Cirilla, I do keep thinking of Cilla Black, so I'm always wanting to do it in a Liverpudlian accent. It's Cirilla here.
I like it. I suppose Ciri also gives a reason for Apple fans to like Ciri too.
Yes, exactly.
Good stuff. That's my major point. I just like those moments between Yennefer and Ciri throughout the episode, and the lesson that Yennefer is teaching. How bad can it really go if you interfere and save one person's life? Well, I'll tell you how bad it actually did go when I tried to interfere.
The law of unintended consequences.
Exactly.
Yes.
But so much other stuff went on in the episode. You mentioned the Emperor. We saw him in this episode. We saw Ciri's father getting his weapon tuned up, I guess, getting us ready to go for his next battle. We had some moments with him here where he's talking about his experience in the past, where he's talking about the fact that he wants to lead the entire continent and become the emperor of the continent. So got to spend a bit of time with him here, but so much going on and just little moments of each of them.
Well, that's it. And also with the emperor, I think his name is Emir as well. Yeah, so again, another person with multiple names, but he doesn't have use for mages, and that links into Fringilla, who was captured in season 2 there, and we see her effectively very drunk in the bowels of his fortress.
Yes.
Effectively testing every drink to see whether it's poisoned.
It sounds like a perfect job.
Which is really funny.
Doesn't it? It sounds like one of those jobs that if you're asked to drink wine all day, it'd be grand. But even when we're introduced to her, she's going, I cannot drink any more wine. No, it's not poisoned. Stop sending wine down to me. But we do see around the room that there are bodies of testers who have been killed. So there is a reason for them to be concerned that the wine of the prince will be poisoned.
Exactly. And indeed, that's how she escapes, is from one of the other drinkers getting poisoned, and she swaps herself into the body bag that's then tossed with all the other dead drinkers and wine testers, and so she's able to escape. And, she is a powerful mage in and of her right, but I just love how, her mightiness has fallen by being effectively so drunk and repeatedly hungover by being a wine taster to check for poison.
How much wine is he drinking as well? Because they have a lot of wine tasters.
I think it's for the court as well. It's not maybe just for Emir. But
it's just in case he gets one glass of or one cup of the poisoned wine. But very good, excellent stuff, and nice to see Fringilla back. Anything else about the episode? I know loads went on, but anything else about the episode you wanted to call out, John?
Well, I think Geralt heading to Vulcan.
How do we not talk about Geralt?
Well, I know exactly. It's just I in a sense maybe this is a third big moment because I just love the creepiness of the den. I just immediately went to John Carpenter's The Thing. You have the 3 heads coming out the wall, and then this beast made up of their torsos that as he kills each one, the head kind of shrivels up and dies on the vine. It's a really visual sort of monster here, which was very good. But also in this kind of cocoon is this this girl, this other lady, with blonde hair, striking eyes. Again, you were kind of like going, oh, okay, that, is she being grown in this cocoon? I mean, I just don't know. Or is it, she does talk, she's kind of ranting sort of in distress about this nocturnal visitor. Who is that? Is that Rience's master? Is she a doppelganger or but in terms of a shapeshifter who's taking on the form? Is
she grown from the blood that Rience stole and used to try and get the Jacopaces to catch Ciri?
What, who, or maybe even what is this, this girl, that, you know, as Geralt goes to try and get to know her, she immediately, says his name. You know who I am, Geralt. I'm Ciri, she says. And a great ending. I mean, in terms of that.
And she's much younger. She looks much more like Ciri, in the first season of The Witcher as well. So I guess we'll find that out, as we get into the next episode of the show. I don't think they'll be able to keep that back for too much longer as to who this Ciri might be.
We also probably won't be getting Fen and Coringer back as Rience, having heard that they are sort of letting their tongues slip a little, goes in and burns them and their house and place of work to the ground, saving the cat. I did like that touch where he seemingly threatens the cat with his flame.
A firefinger,
and then he walks out with the cat as the house is on fire, hearing the shrieks of Fen and Coringer inside.
Yeah, there's an old Hollywood screenwriting book by Blake Snyder called Save the Cat. It's basically about screenwriting 101. When you put an animal in danger, make sure it's saved or else you'll lose the audience effectively. So I like that they very specifically put this on screen. Not only does he pick up the cat, you see him walking out the door, carrying the cat, and through his portal, making sure the cat comes with him. So they were taking some guidance from
exactly.
Save the Cat.
And again, the lovely touch of as he's walking out with the cat, you see the owl perched outside and Philippa in owl form flying through the portal.
Very good. Very good.
Following him. Yeah. So yeah, really good. I like how Redania is kind of being sort of integrated into this story.
Definitely.
For sure.
Yeah, Redanian intelligence. Loads of other stuff went on in this episode as well. Nice to see all the mages still bickering and battling amongst themselves. And Artusa, that's always interesting. You always see them because they feel they're so powerful, they should be in charge of everything. It's like, we're the most intelligent people in all of the continent. We should be in charge of everything, and they don't really know. They can't really work out even between themselves how they should do that.
Yeah, I mean, and interestingly, Trissa asks her, one of the other mages, I think, Jen, to go and get Nilsa from her dormitory. And she spots a splatter of blood behind a chair, seemingly hidden.
Yeah.
I wonder what that means.
Yeah, what's that about?
I don't remember.
I wonder if that could have been saved for episode 3.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, as I say, I think all this toing and froing is quite a lot to behold.
Well, let's close this out. What overall did you think of the episode itself?
I would give this 3 ugly ones out of 5, in reference to Yennefer calling Ciri my ugly one all the way through
What was that about? That was so harsh. And when Ciri asks her about it, she goes, well, I said I'd never lie to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Even more harsh.
I also thought it was about keeping a low profile, because, I mean, that's part of where the tension with Yen and Ciri and the arguments within this episode is because, she's being hunted by everyone. Yeah. And in her pursuit for justice, trying to save people, she's kind of putting them, front and center. She's shining the spotlight on them. And it's like, we need to keep a low profile.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a bit from that, because by the end, she calls her Ciri again, after she has shown Ciri about her past, and everything. So I still enjoyed this episode. Yeah. I just found it really difficult to follow it. I guess it's only coming to the podcast and talking about it, and just ruminating, I guess, on it after the fact that, there's a lot in here. And I think when there are splits and sub-splits going on with characters, plus other characters from season 1 and 2 beginning to sort of be introduced. As I said it up front, I just wish they had kind of pulled some of these moments with, say, Jaskia and Redovich and Philippa and Dijkstra, just together into a more of a whole. I think, in terms of where Geralt is here at the start and at the end, that makes sense, Yeah. I did like Geralt as he arrives in Vulpan, saying it's a trap. And of course, his trusty horse, agreeing with him, as he goes in, he says, it's definitely a trap.
Yeah.
I really, I did enjoy this, but I would give this 3.5 ugly ones out of 5.
Yeah, and I know the impetus. There's still 3 more episodes to go, which most viewers will be watching all in the same day, but I felt distracted throughout the episode by so much going on. I found it difficult to take notes on it because I was trying to work out what to focus on. By the time I'd seen a scene, it had gone past so quickly. I was going, what actually was this scene about? What was the intent?
Yeah,
of
and how does it link?
And most of the time it felt like, here's a scene. You'll see more of this in the next episode, or you'll see more of this in episode 4. So as an episode itself, there's just way too much going on for me on that episode. But I'm sure as the rest of the season plays out, we'll be able to pull all those pieces together.
Definitely. Let us move on to our episode 2 feedback. Firstly, on to our emails. You can go to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com to send in your thoughts, theories, and comments, of course. We have Coffee and Vodka, who says, greetings, fellow Flesh Render defenders. First, a belated congratulations to Chris and a wish for eventual rest. These episodes are so dense with detail and wide-ranging, we could talk for hours about each one. Keeping it to my favourite moments, it was great to see Fringilla. Can hardly wait to see what she gets up to. Rience is sending mixed signals, killing a couple of my favourite characters, but keeping the cat unharmed. Why would he destroy the most useful repository of knowledge in the kingdom? It doesn't make sense unless it does, and I'm missing something. The monster of the week has never been ickier, and now we have a Ciri LMD. Also, did Geralt just stop looking for Rience's boss? The scene seemed incomplete as the forces slowly close in around our heroes. With Jaskier's help, can't wait to see how it pans out. 3.5 fractured futures, brewing ruler undoings, and human centipedes out of 5. Peace and take care. Coffee and Vodka. Great stuff. Thanks, Coffee and Vodka. Yeah, I totally know what you mean. I love the Geralt battle with the thing-like creature. But because we had It's a Trap, then it's like, well, did a trap spring here, or was it just the monster? Or is it this Ciri doppelganger that we see? Because, in a sense, there was no hint at, Rience's master here, or not seemingly anyway, and I just wonder whether Istredd possibly is that shadowy figure. We haven't seen him so far yet, but he has increasingly moved into the background of The Witcher through the course of the seasons, and I think too why Rience burns down Fen and Corringers is they have mentioned possibly his master's name with Istredd, but possibly his master, the absence of knowledge or the confusion of information can make people very, very powerful and persuasive.
Well, absolutely, but quite specifically, Codringer says that something about the plans of Rience's master, and that's when Rience flips. It's that moment where he's going, hang on a second, did you say you know something about the plans of my master? And Fen's eyes close where she's just going, oh no, I think we've just revealed something we definitely shouldn't have revealed in front of Rience. So I think that's why he kills the two of them. They're a repository of knowledge, absolutely. He's used them, he's got that knowledge, and then realized, hang on, they're also a repository of knowledge for lots of other people. I need to keep this off the table. So, so sad to see them go. You're totally right. 2 of our favorite characters as well. Sad to see them go, but I can see that's probably the reasoning behind Rience doing it. Also, he's a bit mental from using all of the fire magic, right?
Yes, I think it's taking a lot out of him. But also, Liz Carr, who plays Fen here, will shortly be with us in Good Omens Season 2 as well. Yes, that will be starting to cover from the end of July.
Yep, 28th of July. Looking forward to that. Yeah, it'd be nice to see Liz Carr back in another role. So maybe actually the reason why she's written out of The Witcher was to go over to Good Omens.
Maybe so.
Looking forward to doing that. Thanks so much, Coffee and Vodka. We also got a message over on Facebook from Dr. Bob Phillips, who says, well, I didn't expect that to be a mother-daughter argument with the I'm not angry, I'm disappointed. A lecture on utilitarianism and a deconstruction of the beauty myth, all in a stroll in the woods. Very pleased the librarians got to come back, even if it was for a bit of light catnapping and arson. Plus, big up the lesbian representation in this episode, and has our annoying bard finally found true love? Thanks, Dr. Bob. Yeah, it was kind of cool to see that, isn't it? Yeah, Jaskier is well known as a bisexual character. He mentions many times of the amount of conquests he had. So maybe he's going to settle down with the prince.
Possibly.
Someday his prince has come.
Maybe so. Or is this just more his silver tongue at work?
Maybe.
Possibly later on Redovich.
Potentially. But yeah, I like that moment with the Ironmonger and the Emperor where she's kind of realizes that he's a little off kilter and kind of says, my wife likes my head attached to my shoulders. Please don't send me home without it. Thought that was really good. And again, just dropped in there the way The Witcher does. So nice to see that in there.
Yeah, and she was talking up everything he said, and raising the glass.
Oh, yes, you are the saviour of the continent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, please leave my shop as soon as possible. Good stuff. Thanks so much, Coffee and Vodka and Dr. Bob. Please keep sending your feedback into us. Email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com or pop on over to our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/tvpodcastindustries.
Yes, thanks so much, Dr. Bob, for the feedback, and also Coffee and Vodka. I think that's everything for us for the first 2 episodes of The Witcher. We will, of course, be back with episodes 3 and episode 4 of The Witcher. Hopefully a little bit sooner than we did with these first 2.
Yeah.
But yes, in the meantime, you can head on over to tvpodcastindustries.com where you can subscribe and support us by sharing the podcast, because of course sharing the podcast is sharing the love.
Yes, we are covering another major show at the moment. We're covering Marvel's Secret Invasion, starring my favourite comic book character, Nick Fury. 3 episodes into that show, 3 more to go. So really looking forward to continuing that. You can subscribe to the podcast and get that coverage over there. John mentioned earlier on, we're coming up to Good Omens Season 2, 5 years since the David Tennant, Michael Sheen starring show written by Neil Gaiman. A nice comedy apocalyptic story of angels and demons, and the 2nd season coming out later this month, so looking forward to that as well.
Yes, you can also then support us for a monthly amount over at patreon.com/TV Podcast Industries, as well as for a one-off payment at buymeacoffee.com/TVPI. But we will be back soon with The Witcher Season 3, Episode 3, Reunion, and Episode 4, The Invitation.
Yeah, looking forward to more of The Witcher later on the podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again next time.
Yes, thank you, fellow Witchers, for joining us. Until next time, remember, keep watching, keep listening, and keep witching.
Bye.